There is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail of a Nephilim. The Genesis 6 narrative states that the Nephilim are on the earth in those days and also afterwards. If that's true, can we find evidence that corroborates this? I'm L.A. Marzulli. Join me as we go on the trail of a Nephilim. We're going to go back to 2013. Richard Shaw, the late Richard Shaw, is actually filming at the Paracas Museum with Senior One. You can see Brian Forrester in the background. Joe Taylor from Mount Blanco is running in and out of this one room where he's molding one of the skulls. Irene is our translator. Rick's behind the camera, and yours truly is interviewing Senior One. I think you'll find that absolutely fascinating. But first, a word from our sponsor. Central banks are increasing their gold reserves due to increasing global financial crisis concerns. Billionaires like Ray Dalio to giant fund management companies like Goldman Sachs are turning to physical assets like gold. That's not surprising. Historically, gold's biggest rally happened after the largest recessions in history. In fact, after the 2000-2009 recession, gold prices jumped 50.5%. Think about what that means. Wealth of entire countries are being protected by gold. Wealth of billionaires are being protected by gold. Many people are using gold to keep their billions safe. And Noble Gold Investments can help you protect your own wealth too with gold. It will take you no more than 5 minutes to set up an account. Noble Gold specializes in storing the value of your wealth through gold IRAs, so they're the natural choice. And they're giving away a beautiful 1/10 of an ounce gold American Eagle coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k this month. Folks, do something different. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call the team now at 877-646-5347. Once again, that's 877-646-5347. Or to find out more, please visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. So here's the clip. I'll let the thing raise up to loquitur. I'll let the thing speak for itself. What's really cool about this is 2013. And this is when the idea of could this be a remnant of a Nephilim? This is our hypothesis. Now, I'm probably going to go someplace with this, and I'll pick it up again maybe on Thursday. This all leads to the DNA extraction that we were finally able to do. So this is a precursor. This is our first trip down the Paracas. I'm pinching myself because I really can't believe I'm there. This is almost 10 years ago, and it's amazing. And Senior One is holding an elongated skull that seems to be cradle boarded. We now know the difference, especially because of the foramen magnum. But here's a clip. I'll weigh it on the other side. So here we have a classic example of cradle boarding, where material is placed here, material is placed there, and the head is wrapped, and it thus elongates the skull. But the other skulls we're going to examine, and you'll notice here the suture, which divides the parietal into two parietals. So you have the frontal, the two parietal, and the occipital in the rear. What we'll demonstrate is that some of these skulls are anomalous in the sense that there's only one parietal in the skull. So one frontal, one parietal, and one occipital. So it's missing essentially a suture. We find that to be a little strange. We've talked about this. Why would a culture emulate this shape? What is so important about the shape that a culture would emulate it and take its young children and create this shape through cranial deformation or cradle boarding? What about this shape is so significant that a culture would do this? So all that led to this book here, On the Trail of a Nephilim. That was what came out of that trip, and we actually had Volume 1 and Volume 2. So you can see Senior Juan passed away several years ago. He's no longer with us. It's just amazing. It reminds me of Psalm 103. Our days on earth are like the grass, like wildflowers. We bloom and then die. The wind blows and we are gone as if we were never here. But the love of the Lord remains forever. His salvation extends to the children's children of those who are faithful to keep his covenants, of those who obey his commandments. Pretty cool. So in 2017, we did the press conference, which in my opinion was sort of a fiasco. We had the wrong people behind the cameras. And thank God for Tim Alberino, who came down and basically rescued us. That's the film that we actually wound up using, because the other film was from the other film company who we had paid lots of money to come there and do the whole thing. Anyway, it's all water under the bridge. The cool thing is we had people like Brian Forrester, obviously. Without Brian, I wouldn't know anything about this. Someone sent me a video with Brian in it, and that's when I contacted him, and we organized the first trip. Jed Burton was our first archaeologist, followed by Aaron Judkins, and then Mondo Gonzalez was the archaeologist that actually got the paperwork that we needed to go in and get the samples. And of course, we did 58 samples. You know, folks, you can find out all about this and so much more by going to streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net. Binge watch them, order the DVDs by going to lamarzulli.net, and you can avail yourself of years and years and years of research, seriously. Also, you can check out the book. I know, LA, you're hawking your products. Well, that's how we make our living. I have to do that, and I do it unashamedly, because it's a lot of work to put out a film. It's a lot of work to write a book. It's a lot of work to hop on a plane and fly 9 hours to Peru and get there and can't speak the language, and it's culture shock, but it's worth every second of it. Why? Because it points back to the veracity of the biblical prophetic narrative. Something is going on, and our DNA research that we did in Peru, in my opinion, absolutely, it's an open and shut case. If I presented that in a court of law, and I said, well, here are the samples that we took, and there's no contamination because Mondo's DNA was taken and my DNA was taken, so there's no contamination here. These were fresh samples, and preponderance of the skulls point to a Middle Eastern origin. Well, that rewrites history. Of course, the academics don't like that. They don't want to rewrite history. Let's just keep everything status quo. So any new paradigm that comes in, anything that might rock the existing paradigm, oh, wait a minute, and that's what we get. But I firmly believe that the Paracas skulls and the so-called Paracas people originated from the Middle East. Are they the Hurrites? I did a show on that last week, based on archaeological evidence from 1902, I think, in Tel Gezer in Israel, where whoever these Hurrites were, the cave dwellers, they lived underground. Well, the Paracas people lived underground. Connection? You tell me. Why is it that the Paracas DNA points to a Middle Eastern, Levant origin, Black Sea, Eastern Europe, all around that little area? Something's going on, folks, and I'll just leave it with this. There is a hidden history that's been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why I am on the trail of the Nephilim.